Which side do you sleep on most? On the right or on the left? And have you ever wondered if sleeping on one side rather than the other could have consequences on your health and spirit? Buddhist wisdom teaches us that the position we sleep in can profoundly influence our physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. And thanks to the Zen story you're about to hear, you'll discover that sleeping on your left side will change your life. So stay until the end of the video because you will learn a simple yet very powerful practice that can transform the quality of your sleep and help you find inner peace. And together, we will embark on a fascinating journey to discover the surprising benefits of sleeping on your left side. But before continuing, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to be informed when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. In an era in which the frenetic pace of modern life often distances us from our deepest essence, among the mountains of Japan stands a Buddhist temple where you can breathe an air of peace. Here, where time seems to pass more slowly, resides the Venerable Master Sozin, a man of profound wisdom and boundless compassion. Sozin, known for his ability to convey complex teachings in a simple and accessible way, one day decided to share with a group of pilgrims a practice passed down through generations of monks. Dear disciples, Sozin began in a calm and melodious voice. Tonight, I will tell you about a simple but powerful practice that can transform not only your sleep, but also your entire life. It's a gesture of love towards your body, your mind, and your spirit, sleeping on your left side. The disciples listened carefully, intrigued by the Master's words. Sozin continued, "This practice is not simply to comfort your body. It is rooted in a deep understanding of human anatomy and the body's energy flows. Sleeping on the left side, in fact, promotes optimal alignment of the internal organs, promoting health and well-being at all levels." To better illustrate this theory, Sozin told the story of a young samurai named Takeshi who suffered from digestive disorders and insomnia. Despite his strength and fighting ability, Takeshi was often plagued by abdominal pain, fatigue, and difficulty concentrating, the monk said. One day, while traveling, Takeshi met a wandering old monk who advised him to sleep on his left side. Skeptical but desperate, he decided to follow the monk's advice. To his surprise, after a few nights, his digestive complaints began to improve and his sleep became deeper and more restful. The samurai felt more energetic, more concentrated, more at peace with himself, and this also helped him in combat. Sozin explained to his disciples that the left side sleeping position promotes lymphatic drainage, a vital system for removing toxins and waste from the body. Most of the lymphatic system is on the left side, so sleeping on this side helps drain fluids more efficiently, improving immune function and reducing inflammation. Imagine the lymphatic system as a river flowing through your body, Sozin said. Sleeping on your left side is like removing obstacles from the riverbed, allowing the water to flow freely and purifying the surrounding landscape. The elderly monk continued to explain how the sleeping position on the left side facilitated digestion. The stomach and pancreas, two key organs of the digestive system, are naturally located on the left side of the body. Sleeping on this side allows food to move more easily through the digestive system, preventing acid reflux and promoting complete, healthy digestion. Think of your stomach as a mill, Sozin said. Sleeping on your left side is like orienting the blades of a mill in the direction of the wind. By doing this, you allow them to grind the grain more efficiently and produce better quality flour. The heart, the most vital organ of our body, also benefits from this position, continued the monk. The aorta, the largest artery in the body, curves to the left. Sleeping on the left side reduces pressure on the heart, making it easier to pump blood and improve circulation throughout the body. Sozin compared the heart to a fountain gushing water. Sleeping on your left side, he said, is like opening the fountain valve, allowing the water to flow freely and irrigate the surrounding garden. But the benefits don't stop there. Sleeping on your left side also promotes the health of your spleen, a key organ of the immune system. The spleen filters the blood and removes damaged red blood cells, the monk said again. Sleeping on this side facilitates blood flow to the spleen, improving its function and strengthening the immune system. Sozin compared the spleen to a silent guardian that protects the body from disease. Sleeping on the left side, he explained, is like giving the guardian an advantageous position, allowing him to see enemies better and defend the castle more effectively. Additionally, the left side sleeping position improves breathing. The left lung is smaller than the right. Therefore, sleeping on this side allows the right lung to expand more freely, promoting deeper breathing and better oxygenating the body. Sozin illustrated this concept with the image of a tree growing towards the sun. Sleeping on your left side, he said, is like giving the tree more room to grow, allowing it to reach new heights and absorb more light. While the disciples listened with great interest to what their mentor was explaining, Sozin continued his lesson. But the benefits of sleeping on your left side aren't just physical, he said. This practice also has a profound impact on the mind and spirit. According to Zen tradition, the left side of the body is associated with yin energy, the feminine, receptive, and intuitive energy. Sleeping on this side, therefore, helps us connect with this energy, promoting calm, inner peace, and emotional balance. Sozin told the story of a young woman named Hana who suffered from anxiety and stress. Hana was always on the move, always worried about the future and unable to enjoy the present. One day, during a visit to the monastery, Sozin advised her to sleep on her left side. Hana followed Sozin's advice and over time noticed a significant change in her mood. She felt calmer, more centered, and more able to face life's challenges. Anxiety and stress began to decrease, leaving room for greater serenity and inner joy. Sozin explained to his disciples that sleeping on the left side promotes the flow of Kundalini energy, a powerful spiritual energy that resides at the base of the spine. This energy, when awakened, can lead to greater awareness, intuition, and spiritual growth. Imagine the Kundalini energy as a sleeping snake, Sozin said. Sleeping on your left side is like whispering softly to the serpent, awakening it from its sleep and inviting it to move up your spine, bringing with it light and wisdom. Sozin emphasized that the practice of sleeping on the left side is not only a remedy for physical or emotional ailments, but a path of personal and spiritual growth. Sleeping in this position helps us connect with our deepest essence, develop our intuition, and live a more conscious and meaningful life. To further delve into the teaching, Sozin shared with his disciples some specific techniques for improving the quality of sleep on the left side. For example, he advised them to use an appropriate pillow to support their head and neck, place a pillow between their knees to align their spine, and create a quiet, relaxing sleep environment. He also suggested practicing meditation or breathing exercises before bed to promote relaxation and prepare the body and mind for sleep. The disciples, inspired by the words and examples they had heard, committed themselves to putting their master's teachings into practice. Over the next few weeks and months, they noticed a significant improvement in their sleep, health, and overall well-being. They felt more energetic, calmer, and more connected to themselves and the world around them. The practice of sleeping on their left side became an integral part of their daily routine, a sacred ritual that helped them cultivate inner peace, health, and spiritual growth. But what does this story teach us? The importance of listening to ancient wisdom and experimenting with simple yet powerful practices that can transform our lives. And that sleeping on the left side is a precious gift that we can give to ourselves, a gesture of love towards our body, our mind, and our spirit. As you may have discovered, sleeping on your left side is not just a matter of comfort, but a practice that can bring extraordinary benefits to your health, well-being, and spiritual growth. By following the advice and teachings of Zen monks, you will be able to experience more restful sleep, greater vitality, and a deeper connection with yourself and the world around you. At this point, we invite you to put this ancient practice into practice and discover its positive effects on your life. Remember that sleep is a sacred time, an opportunity to regenerate your body and mind, and sleeping on your left side can be the key to unlocking your full potential. Have you ever heard of the Buddhist custom of putting salt in your shoes? And do you know what exactly this ancient practice, which has its origins in the wisdom of Buddhists and Oriental medicine, is for? Salt is known for its countless uses, not only in cooking. You've probably already tried several thanks to suggestions from elders. In the kitchen, it is a formidable ally, and according to the most recent research, it is not the worst culprit in raising blood pressure. And its uses do not end here. Salt is in fact a precious ingredient even in domestic cleaning, because it helps to clean and cleanse. Furthermore, in the form of a saline solution, it is a powerful disinfectant for wounds and skin abrasions. Not to mention its uses as an exfoliating scrub, anti-dandruff remedy, bath salt, and we could go on forever. But few people know that for Buddhists, putting salt in their shoes has a very important meaning on both a spiritual and medical level. And we will see it in the Zen story that you will hear shortly, where you will discover 5 reasons why you should also try to put it in your shoes. So stay until the end, because what we will reveal to you in the last minutes of the video will strike you deeply, leaving you speechless. In the heart of a valley surrounded by the mystical aura of the Japanese mountains stood an ancient Buddhist monastery, guardian of age-old wisdom and a place of refuge for those seeking inner peace. In this place where time seemed to have stopped, lived the elderly and venerated monk Makoto, whose wisdom and profound understanding of the ways of Buddhism and Oriental medicine shone like the light of a candle in the night. One morning, as the golden rays of the sun filtered through the branches of the trees, Makoto gathered his disciples in the monastery cloister for one of the usual lessons. And with a serene expression, he invited them to sit in a circle around him and began to speak in a warm and reassuring voice. Every step we take on the path of life is a sacred journey, the monk began, a path that leads us to knowledge of ourselves and the universe that surrounds us. And just as when, to face a long and tiring journey, it is necessary to prepare adequately, so also in our earthly existence, we must be ready to face the challenges that await us. The disciples listened, enraptured by their master's words, and when Makoto mentioned the ancient custom of putting salt in shoes, their minds opened to the wonder of a tradition as ancient as it was mysterious. This practice, Makoto continued, has roots that go back to the remotest past, when our ancestors walked through wild and impervious lands. In those distant times, salt was not just a condiment to enrich foods, but a precious commodity, a symbol of purity and protection. The senior monk took a moment's pause, letting the words settle like delicate sand in the minds of his disciples, and then continued, I will now explain to you the 5 main reasons why the practice of putting salt in your shoes is so significant and important for our spiritual path and for our health in general. First, Makoto said, salt has the power to absorb moisture, just as the Buddha absorbed the suffering of the world. When we put salt in our shoes, it helps us keep our steps light and agile. In Buddhist practice, humility is often associated with the heaviness of worries and suffering that we carry with us along the path of life. Just as the weight of water filling our shoes in the rain slows and weighs down our pace, so the worries and tensions of the mind can hinder our progress towards inner peace and enlightenment. Putting salt in your shoes symbolizes the desire to free yourself from this burden, to let go of worries, and to maintain a lightness of spirit despite the challenges encountered along the way. Salt acts as an absorbent of these worries, allowing our steps to remain light and agile as we proceed in our search for inner peace and wisdom. To enhance the meaning of this aspect, Makoto told them the story of an old fisherman who, during a storm, had saved his boat from breaking thanks to a bag of salt that he had thrown on the deck to absorb the water. The second reason to put salt in your shoes, Makoto continued, is that salt has purifying properties. By assimilating impurities, salt purifies our path, freeing it from harmful influences and spiritual obstacles. Putting salt in our shoes, therefore, is a way to protect our mind and spirit from the deceptions and temptations of the outside world. To better explain this idea, the monk shared with his disciples the story of a traveler who, during his journey, had encountered a river infested with evil spirits. Thanks to the salt in his shoes, he was able to cross the river unscathed, protecting his mind and spirit from negative influences. The third reason, Makoto continued, is that salt helps us maintain balance. Just as the mountains that surround us are symbols of stability and strength, putting salt in our shoes also helps us to root ourselves in the earth and to remain steadfast in the face of the storms of life. The mountains surrounding the monastery represent the image of stability and strength, said the monk. Just as these towering rock formations remain steadfast even in the face of the most violent storms, so we too must learn to maintain our inner stability as we face life's challenges. And putting salt in your shoes symbolizes this balance. The salt, in fact, acts as an anchor for our steps, stabilizing them and preventing unwanted falls along our path. When we walk with salted shoes, we feel more solid and rooted to the ground, as if we have a deep connection with the earth itself. This balance not only affects the body, but also the mind and spirit. Therefore, following this practice is an invitation to find the right balance between the different dimensions of our existence. Between work and rest, between action and contemplation, between joy and sadness, between good and evil. When we manage to maintain this balance, we can face life's challenges with serenity and determination without being shocked by the ups and downs we encounter along the spiritual path. To make the concept clearer, Makoto told them the story of a young monk who, during a meditation on the banks of a stormy mountain stream, had found perfect balance thanks to the salt he brought with him. As the disciples became more and more involved with the stories of their spiritual guide, Makoto continued with the fourth reason. Salt also has healing properties, he said. In Oriental medicine, in fact, salt is considered a natural remedy to relieve pain and tension. Putting salt in your shoes can soothe not only the physical discomforts, but also the mental ones that we encounter along our spiritual path. To demonstrate this idea, the monk shared with his disciples the story of a farmer who, suffering from an open wound on his foot, had found relief by immersing his foot in a saline solution. Continuing with the fifth reason, Makoto talked about how putting salt in your shoes was a gesture of gratitude. Salt is a precious gift from the earth, and using it mindfully reminds us to be grateful for all that life offers us, both the joys and the challenges, said the master. The disciples listened to Makoto's words with deep reverence, grasping the wisdom behind that seemingly simple gesture, but the monk wasn't finished yet. Looking his disciples straight in the eyes, he added, "My dears, there is a reason linked to this practice that I wanted to leave until last due to its importance. Putting salt in your shoes is a rite of passage that connects us to past generations and all the people who have walked this earth before us. Every grain of salt represents their stories, their challenges, and their victories. When we put it in our shoes, we join an eternal bond of wisdom and resilience that crosses time and space, transmitting their spirit and strength in our footsteps. Faced with this revelation, the disciples were speechless, contemplating the depth of this apparently simple gesture. They understood that, for Makoto, salt in shoes was not just an ancient practice or a symbol of protection and purification, but a connection to humanity itself and all the lives that have passed before them. Have you ever heard of the meaning of the number 888 and its spiritual importance? For many, it is an angelic number, a portal to luck and prosperity. The certain thing is that for all religions, this number has links with spirituality and with the divine that is in each of us. And it is said that if you write the number 888 on a sheet of paper and put it under your pillow, you can transform your life. By doing so, in fact, you will be able to attract prosperity, serenity, and inner peace. But how are things really? Make yourself comfortable and stay until the end of the video, because at the end of this Zen story you will find an answer to this fascinating mystery. And also, you will learn about the power of the number 888 and how to use it to attract what you want into your life. The sun sank lazily on the horizon, painting the sky with fiery shades that danced on the rocks like tongues of fire. The elderly and wise monk Kato is about to reveal something unique to his disciples. Around the crackling fire, Kaido's disciples anxiously awaited the words of the Buddhist monk. They knew that, once again, their mentor would amaze them with extraordinary revelations. Kaido, with his calm and persuasive voice, began to narrate an ancient story, one of those capable of opening the mind and leaving a profound mark in the hearts of each of them. In the mists of time, began the monk, a mystical number emerged from the depths of the universe, 888. Since then, its energy permeates creation, bringing abundance, prosperity, and balance. Like a rushing river that fuels life, this number brings with it the promise of a bright future, a future full of joy and fulfillment. The monk bent down, picking up a small sheet of snow-white paper. With precise and delicate gestures, he traced the number 888 in golden ink. His calligraphy, as fluid as a mountain waterfall pouring down the valley, seemed to leave a mark in the minds of the disciples. This symbol, he explained in a soft voice, contains an ancestral force capable of attracting positivity into your life like a magnet attracts iron. Think of this number as a talisman that brings good luck, a bridge that connects heaven and earth, a portal that will lead you to a world of wonders. The disciples listened in silence, enraptured by the Master's words. Their eyes shone with curiosity and hope, like stars lighting up in the night sky. 888 is more than just a number, Kato continued, his voice vibrant with wisdom. It is a key that opens the door to the unlimited potential of the universe. And consequently, if we know how to interpret certain messages well, to the unlimited potential that lies within each of us. Like a magical portal leading to a world of wonders, this number will allow you to access an infinite reserve of energy and wisdom, an inexhaustible source of inspiration and inner strength. One of the younger disciples, eager to know more, asked, "Master Kato, how can this number open the doors of prosperity and inner peace for us?" The monk, looking at everyone with a broad smile, invited them to write the number 888 on a sheet of white paper, using golden or red ink, symbols of prosperity and luck. The sheet then had to be placed under the pillow before going to bed, like a hidden treasure waiting to be revealed. While you sleep, Kaito whispered in a firm voice, "Your mind will open like a flower in the sun, and the energy of 888 will flow through you, purifying your spirit and preparing you to receive new gifts from the universe. It will be like a rain of blessings falling on the thirsty earth. Dreams will transform into prophecies, intuitions into flashes of genius, and synchronicities into invisible guides that will lead you to your highest destiny. The disciples nodded, and with their hearts full of hope and the paper with the number 888 clutched in their hands, they headed towards their rooms. The ritual that Cato had spoken about had affected them deeply, and they couldn't wait to carry it out with all the trust and faith they were capable of. In the quiet of the night, the disciples retreated to their rooms, lulled by the singing of the nocturnal birds and the rustling of the leaves. The paper with the number 888 rested under their pillows like a precious talisman that emanated a subtle and vibrant energy, and that night a very strange thing happened. Everyone dreamed of something, and the dreams became vivid and colorful, full of symbols and mysterious messages to interpret and use as maps for one's happiness. Upon awakening, the disciples felt transformed, as if a cool breeze had swept away the clouds of their minds. A sense of renewed energy and profound inner peace pervaded their being, like a wave of positivity that enveloped and intoxicated them. Over the next few days, surprising events began to manifest in their lives. New opportunities knocked on their doors, like flowers blooming at dawn. Unexpected encounters illuminated their path, like lighthouses in the night indicating the route. Fortunate coincidences led them towards the realization of their dearest dreams, like shooting stars that grant wishes. The disciples, amazed and happy at these events and this transformation, went to Cato to thank him and to ask to know more about the number 888. The wise monk, with a benevolent smile, invited them to sit around the fire, which crackled brightly like a beating heart that united them under the same roof. 888 is an angelic number, Cato explained, his voice vibrant with wisdom. It is a message sent by our spiritual guardians, a precious gift that infuses our lives with hope, love, and protection. Like a lighthouse in the night, this number guides us towards our highest destiny, illuminating the path ahead with its golden light. In Buddhism, the number 8 represents the Eightfold Path, or the path that leads to enlightenment. And the 888 is seen as a symbol of spiritual perfection and awakening, a symbol to be respected, and thanks to which one can find one's path in life. Master Cato asked the disciple, "Is it true that this number is also important for other religions?" The monk, smiling, replied that in the Christian tradition, the number 888 is associated with Jesus Christ, because in Greek, the name of Jesus has this same numerical value. And for this reason, it is seen as a symbol of redemption, salvation, and eternal life. Cato told stories of angels and spiritual guides who, through this issue, had offered their help to people in difficulty. He talked about how this number was often present in prophetic dreams, sudden intuitions, and surprising synchronicities, like an invisible thread that weaves the fabric of our destiny. The 888 is a symbol of balance and harmony, continued Cato. Like a bridge that connects heaven and earth, this number helps us find the right balance between our spiritual aspirations and our material needs. It is an invitation to live a life full of meaning, in which external prosperity is accompanied by internal growth, giving us emotional balance and mental well-being. While the disciples listened with great interest, and their hearts were grateful to their mentor for the wisdom he imparted to them, the monk taught them how to meditate on the number 888. Thinking about this number, my dears, visualize how a golden light flows through your body and purifies your soul. And pay attention to the signs and synchronicities that manifest themselves in your life, recognizing them as messages from the universe that guide you towards your destiny. The disciples, with hearts full of gratitude, from that day continued to constantly practice the ritual of the number 888 and meditate on it. Their life turned into a journey of discovery and joy, where every day was a new chapter in a wonderful story. The numbers danced before their eyes like notes of celestial music that invited them to follow the rhythm of the universe. And their lives, despite the challenges and tests to which they were subjected, continued in the name of trust, faith, and perseverance. Challenges are like stones that help us build the path of our life, Kaido had told him during his lessons. Do not be afraid of falling, because it is only by falling that you learn to get up. The 888 is with you. You just need to open your heart to feel its energy. The most difficult test was for Akiko, a young disciple with a pure heart and a kind soul. A sudden fire destroyed her house, leaving her with nothing. Akiko was disheartened and cried desperately, believing that the universe had abandoned her to her fate. Kaido took her hand and led her to the top of a hill overlooking the valley. The sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange. Look, he said, pointing to the breathtaking view. The universe has not abandoned you. It has given you this test to make you emerge like a phoenix from the ashes. Remember that the 888 is with you. Have faith, and your inner strength will guide you despite adversity. Akiko watched the sun rise and felt a new strength rising within her. The monk's words gave her the hope and determination to rebuild her life. With the help of his fellow disciples and the community, he built a new house, more beautiful and more resistant than the previous one. After overcoming various tests and challenges, the disciples felt transformed. They had acquired a new awareness of themselves and their place in the world. One day, Kaito gathered them together again and asked them, "What have you learned from all this?" The disciples, moved and aware, recounted their experiences. They had learned that true wealth is not in material things, but in inner strength, love, and compassion. And that the number 888 is not a magical lucky charm, but a symbol of their unlimited potential. And again, that the key to a happy and fulfilling life is to trust your intuition and live in harmony with yourself and the universe. Master Kaito looked at them with pride and greeted them with these words, "Now you are ready to spread your light in the world. Use your wisdom to help others and to create a better world." Have you ever noticed the lines on the palm of your hand? They are there with you always, and they have a particular meaning. And if these lines, put together, form the letter M, the meaning is even more particular because it takes on a symbolic and spiritual implication. Maybe you've never noticed it because you don't believe in palmistry, yet having the M on the palm of your hand doesn't simply have to do with the theories of those who read palms. But what does it really mean to have the letter M on the palm of your hand? We will see it in this Zen story, rich as always in that Buddhist wisdom, capable of giving us emotional well-being and inner peace. So make yourself comfortable and stay until the end of the video, because what you will hear will leave you speechless, especially if you are among the rare people who can say they have this letter on their hand. But before continuing, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications. This way you will stay updated when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. In a quiet Buddhist temple hidden in a charming Japanese forest, the elderly and wise Buddhist monk Ninsi gathered his disciples in the courtyard. "My children," Ninsi began in a calm, penetrating voice, "have you ever felt as if the universe were whispering to you ancient secrets about your destiny? And have you ever had the impression that your destiny, or at least that we call that, holds something unique and mysterious in store for you?" The disciples, captured by his eloquence, nodded, thinking of the sensations they had been pervaded by over time. Imagine entering a place and feeling your own energy being absorbed, as if the environment were making demands on your life force, he continued. Have you ever felt that shiver down your spine, that subtle sensation that leads you to change course, cancel plans, or follow others? Just like when, at the last moment, something happens that takes you elsewhere from the path you had chosen. The disciples exchanged questioning glances, but Ninsi continued without giving them time to answer or ask questions. His intent was to make them think, but also not to distract them from his words. And then there is that strange and enigmatic symbol marked in your hands, the letter M. Those of you who own it know exactly what I'm talking about. One of the disciples raised his hand timidly. "Master, I have the letter M in the palm of my hand, and hearing about it for some time, I have always wondered with anxiety what it meant." Another disciple added, "I also have the M on the palm of my hand, and I was told that it would be a sign that we are destined to live less than others. But how are things really?" Ninsi smiled, a compassionate smile that seemed to light up the night itself. "Well, get ready to decipher the secrets that destiny has in store for you. Welcome to the mystery of the letter M." With seraphic grace, the monk told them the parable of a traveler whose deeds were guided by a star in the shape of an M that illuminated the sky. That star was a light that illuminated his path, and it was as if it also illuminated his very soul, leading him through the mystery that enveloped the world. "Imagine," said the old monk, "that you are like that traveler, with the letter M engraved in the palm of your hand. It is like having a secret map of the universe, an inner guide that pushes you towards your destination. But this map won't just take you to physical locations. It will lead you towards your true essence, towards your spiritual mission, towards gestures and events that will change your life." The disciples listened with extreme attention, eager to discover more about the meaning of that mysterious letter that fascinated and disturbed all those who carried it in the palm of their hand. Those who carry the letter M on the palm of their hand can manifest incredible inner strength, continued Ninsi. These individuals are often natural leaders, capable of inspiring and influencing those around them. Their energy is magnetic, and they attract others to them like the stars are attracted to the moon. Sometimes they are political leaders or business captains. Other times, simply good people who know how to illuminate the path of those around them. For example, particularly charismatic parents, teachers, doctors. And in the spiritual world, he added, the bearers of the letter M are true custodians of ancient secrets. They are in tune with the higher energies of the universe, capable of discerning hidden truths and guiding others towards the light. The disciples listened with growing amazement, feeling part of something bigger than themselves. Those who had the letter M printed on their hand began to feel good. The others began to feel respect for their companions. However, Ninsi warned, with the power of the letter M also comes great responsibility. You must use your gift with wisdom and compassion, or risk being overwhelmed by the dark forces that lurk in the shadows. As the fireplace crackled gently, Ninsi urged his disciples to cultivate their connection with the letter M, to explore its mysteries with humility and gratitude, and to feel privileged. And remember, the monk said in a solemn tone, that your letter M is unique, as is your path. There is no one else like you, and no one can carry out your spiritual mission except yourself. The disciples nodded, feeling a new determination burning in their hearts. With the guidance of the wise monk, they were ready to explore the mysteries of the letter M and discover their true purpose in the universe. And so, in the tranquil Buddhist temple, the light of knowledge burned brightly as the disciples embraced their destiny with hope and confidence, ready to embark on a journey of discovery and transformation under Ninsi's loving guidance. Majestically, Ninsi slowly stood up, his figure bathed in a divine light that seemed to emanate from his very essence. "Now that you have understood the meaning of the letter M on the palm of your hand," he said in a grave but hopeful voice, "it's time to explore its power and wisdom more deeply." The disciples approached him, eager to learn more. "Look," Ninsi said, pointing to the twinkling stars in the night sky. "As the stars move harmoniously in the vast universe, so you too, with your letter M, are called to move harmoniously. Every decision you make is a universal dance between your free will and divine design. Every decision you make has to do not just with your reality, but with that of those you love and the universe itself." A disciple raised his hand. "Master, how can we be sure that we are following the right path? How can we make sure that this privilege is not in vain?" Nincy smiled, the wisdom in her eyes shining like an eternal flame. Listen to your heart, she said. Your letter M is like an inner compass, always ready to show you the way. But remember, the master continued, that your journey will not be without challenges and difficulties. Dark forces will try to divert you from your path, but with the light of your letter M as your guide, you will be able to overcome every obstacle and emerge stronger and wiser than before. Another disciple raised her hand. Master, what if we don't have the letter M in the palm of our hand? Nincy paused for a moment, contemplating the question with deep thought. Even if you don't physically possess the letter M, you can still access its wisdom and power, he finally replied. True strength lies within you, regardless of external physical characteristics. Find your center, listen to your inner voice, and you will be guided towards your spiritual realization. The disciples looked at each other with a new sense of understanding and acceptance. The old monk's words were making them reflect, opening a world of emotions in their hearts and minds. Nincy, looking at the starry sky and with a deep breath, added, Whether you bear the letter M or not, he said solemnly, always remember that you are an integral part of the great mosaic of the universe. Each individual, with their own uniqueness and beauty, contributes to the fabric of life. May your journey be illuminated by the light of wisdom and love, and may you find your true essence and inner growth. With these words, Nincy closed his eyes and the disciples looked at him in silence, feeling the depth of his message vibrate in the surrounding air. Time seemed to slow down, as if the universe itself had stopped to listen to the words of the wise monk. When Nincy reopened her eyes, her gaze was serene and radiant with hope. And now, he said in a clear voice, let us move forward, each of us, on our journey of spiritual discovery and realization. May the light of our letter M, whether visible or not, always guide us toward our true essence and our highest destiny. And so, in the quiet temple, the fire of knowledge continued to burn brightly as the disciples set out towards their destiny with renewed vigor and awareness. Have you ever noticed that certain people come into our lives at crucial moments? It's as if they were sent on purpose to deliver a message or help us solve a problem. And have you ever had the sensation, when meeting someone, of living in a déjà vu, as if you had already met them in an unspecified past? In this video, we will see that people do not come into our lives by chance, but for a specific reason. So make yourself comfortable and stay until the end, because what you will hear will affect you deeply. One day, while the elderly monk Hotaka was meditating under a blossoming cherry tree, a young man named Hiroshi approached and asked respectfully, Master, sometimes I meet people and I feel a positive feeling, as if I had already met them, or as if they had a particular affinity with my soul. Other times, however, I feel a negative sensation, as if that person had come to hurt me, to damage me. And all this makes me restless and makes me ask, do people come into our lives by chance? Young friend, Hotaka said, his piercing eyes fixed on the boys, people never enter our lives by accident, and this truth is deeper than we can imagine. In life, we meet different people, and each of them has its place and role in our story. Some come and go, others stay and accompany us through different periods of life. Hotaka slowly stood up and pointed to the blue sky above them. Look at the birds, young friend. They do not fly by chance. They are carried by the currents of the air, just as we are carried by the invisible forces of existence. Hiroshi contemplated the birds flying across the sky, trying to grasp the depth of the wise master's words. Imagine your life as a garden, Hotaka added. Every person who crosses your path is like a seed planted by destiny. Some grow like colorful flowers that last a season, others like mighty trees that endure over the years, but each brings with it the promise of new growth. Hiroshi nodded. He reflected on the various flowers and trees he had seen blooming along the path of his life. The people who hurt us, Hotaka continued in a tone of pity, are often our best teachers. They are sharp stones on our path, and despite the pain, they teach us to grow and find our inner strength. The young monk closed his eyes, reliving the challenges that had tempered his soul over time. And then there are those who appear when we need them most, Hotaka said, pointing to a majestic tree. Just as the roots of this tree support it on stormy days, these people support us in difficult times. Hiroshi thought of a person who had been his refuge during a very delicate period, a solid anchor in the midst of a storm, a person who, after that period, left his life, even though he would have still wanted her by his side. Finally, Hotaka concluded wisely, some remain with us forever. They are like fixed stars in our sky, bright and constant. True friends, family members are soulmate. With them we share the burden of our days and the joy of our successes. The young monk smiled, feeling enveloped in gratitude for the special people he had met and had by his side. Hotaka looked up at the sky, and a subtle light danced in his eyes. Recognize and appreciate every person who crosses your path, young Hiroshi. Each is an essential part of your story, and you are a part of theirs. Life is an intricate web of destinies, and each encounter contributes to the fabric of your existence. Know, added the master, that there are fundamentally three types of individuals: those who support us on the path of our evolution, pushing us to overcome limits and reach new levels of awareness; those who bring a breath of renewal to our inner world. When we cross paths with these individuals, we immediately perceive that the universe is weaving an intricate web. What the plans are hidden in these meetings remains shrouded in mystery, but we can be certain that something in us is destined to undergo an eternal transformation. And then there are the individuals who encourage us to continue. This particular category of travel companions may only accompany us for a brief moment, but their role is crucial. They remind us of the true nature of our path, strengthening our determination to move forward. The master's words helped the young novice who, in the following years, continued to follow the path illuminated by Hotaka's wisdom. Every encounter, be it a casual passerby or a lasting life partner, became for him a precious piece in the mosaic of his existence. Through the challenges and joys, Hiroshi learned that every person, every experience, brought with it a hidden gift, a precious teaching that contributed to his growth and spiritual fulfillment. As time passed, the novice himself became a senior monk with wise eyes and a grateful heart. In his role as spiritual guide, he shared with the young monks the profound truth taught to him by Hotaka. That life is a constant flow of meaningful encounters, each of which contributes to the unique beauty of our existence. In conclusion, what is the moral of this story? That in life, every encounter, regardless of its duration or intensity, contributes to the richness of our existence. Life is a wonderful journey of discovery, and each person who crosses our path brings with them a unique gift. Sometimes these people die, sometimes they leave, for no apparent reason. Other times they behave badly and force you to make a decision and walk away from them. What we need to understand is that their work is done because one of our needs or desires has been satisfied. Therefore, in a world where people's paths cross and separate like branches of a tree, true wisdom lies in opening your heart at every encounter and learning from the lessons hidden in the folds of destiny. As we move towards our life goals, even difficult challenges and trials always await us, and we can feel helpless. But it is precisely in these moments that the universe sends us people who give us the courage to face these challenges and overcome the obstacles. Their support and encouragement inspires us and gives us the strength to move forward. In the dance of life, Hotaka told the young novice, every encounter is a musical note. Listen carefully to the melody that is revealed through the people who crossed your path. Find beauty in the harmony of human connections. Remember, whether it is a love or a special friendship or, even, an acquaintance who touches our path, an encounter can change us forever. Have you ever thought that itching could have a spiritual meaning? And have you ever wondered if it could be more than just a physical annoyance? What if we told you that itching can hide a deep spiritual meaning that no one has ever told you? A message that your body, mind, and spirit are trying to communicate to you. A secret message that you would do well to listen to so that you can live at peace with yourself and with the world around you. Sounds amazing, right? But in the heart of Japan, in an ancient monastery, a wise monk named Tetsuo has dedicated his life to studying mysteries like this. And in this fascinating Zen story, we will take you on a journey to discover ancient wisdom and a new perspective on itching. You will discover how itching can be a sign of imbalance, an invitation to healing, an opportunity for spiritual growth. And if you stay until the end of the video, you will understand how to discover when itching is a simple physical annoyance and when, on the contrary, it is a spiritual messenger. The morning sun filtered through the leaves of the maples of the Zen monastery of Komyuji, illuminating the wrinkled but serene face of the venerable monk Tetsuo. His disciples, sitting in a semicircle around him, eagerly awaited his words. Tetsuo was known for his enigmatic parables and profound teachings, capable of touching the heart and awakening the mind. That day, however, the topic seemed, only on the surface, unusually banal and earthly, itching. My dear disciples, the monk began with an enigmatic smile. Today I want to talk to you about a phenomenon that all of us have experienced, but which few have truly understood: itching. A murmur of surprise spread among the disciples. The itching. What could it have to do with spirituality? Master, asked shyly Sakura, a young raven-haired disciple, isn't the itching just a physical annoyance, a symptom of some allergy or irritation? Tetsuo nodded. In many cases, Sakura, you are right, but itching can be much more than just a physical ailment. It can be a messenger, a signal that our body, mind, and spirit send to us to get our attention. A messenger. Taro, an older disciple with a thick white beard, asked curiously, "And what is this messenger telling us?" This, Tetsuo replied, is the question we must ask ourselves every time we feel the itch. What is our body telling us? What is our mind telling us? What is our spirit telling us? Tetsuo scratched his chin thoughtfully, as if searching for the right words. Often, he said, we think of itching as a simple physical discomfort caused by an insect bite, an allergy, or dry skin. And in many cases, this is the truth. But there is another level of meaning, a spiritual meaning, that we often ignore. The disciples listened with growing attention, enraptured by their mentor's words. Itching, Tetsuo continued, can be a sign of imbalance, of disharmony. It can indicate that something is wrong in our life, that there is an area that requires our attention and healing. It can be an invitation to look inside ourselves, to explore our emotions, our thoughts, and our actions. Tetsuo paused, letting his words sink into the minds of his disciples. I remember, he said, a time when a persistent itch tormented me. I couldn't concentrate on meditation, nor find peace in my thoughts. Initially, I thought it was just an allergic reaction to the pollen, but the itching persisted even after taking the medicine. What did you do, Master? Sakura asked with concern and great curiosity. I began to meditate on the itch itself, replied the Master. I observed the sensations, I explored the emotions that came from it. And slowly, I began to understand that the itching was a reflection of a deep anxiety that I had repressed, an anxiety related to an important decision I had to make. And then? Taro asked, what did you do to make this discovery turn into something positive? Once I recognized and addressed that anxiety, the itching went away, Tetsuo replied. I realized that my body was sending me a signal, an invitation to take care of my mind and spirit. Then, as his eyes shone with wisdom and his smile spread peace, he added, The itch, my dears, is a call to action. It is an invitation to take care of ourselves, physically, mentally, and spiritually. It is an invitation to find balance, harmony, and inner peace. The disciples were fascinated. Tetsuo's words had opened their eyes to a new way of seeing itching, a way that went far beyond simple physical discomfort. Thanks to the master's explanations, they realized that throughout their lives, they had often felt itching without a specific physical reason. But Master, Sakura asked, how can we distinguish between a physical itch and a spiritual one? It's not always easy, Sakura, the monk replied, but there are some clues we can look for. A spiritual itch tends to be persistent, unresponsive to physical treatments, and accompanied by other sensations or emotions, such as anxiety, frustration, or restlessness. Tetsuo continued, furthermore, a spiritual itch can manifest itself in specific areas of the body, each of which has a symbolic meaning. For example, an itchy hand can indicate a desire to take action to change something in our life. An itchy foot can suggest a need for grounding, for stability, to find a place in the world where we can feel like ourselves. An itchy head can be a sign of mental confusion or thought overload. The disciples listened intently, taking mental notes. The lesson on itching became more and more interesting. Tetsuo, looking his disciples in the eyes, continued his lesson by telling about a new disciple who had once arrived at the monastery. He was a young man tormented by constant itching in his hands. He had consulted numerous doctors, but none had been able to find a cause or cure. Desperate, Hiroshi had decided to seek help in the monastery, hoping to find relief in Tetsuo's wisdom. The monk welcomed Hiroshi warmly and invited him to share his story. And the young man told of his hectic life, his stressful job, and his constant dissatisfaction. He had always looked for happiness externally, accumulating material goods and chasing ephemeral successes, but nothing seemed to quench his internal itch. Tetsuo listened carefully, nodding every now and then. When Hiroshi finished speaking, the monk said to him, "Hiroshi, your itchy hands are not just a physical ailment. It is a sign that your soul is restless, that there is an unexpressed desire burning inside you. Your hands, tools of action and creation, are asking you to express your true nature, to follow your passion." Hiroshi was confused, but Master, he said, I don't know what my true passion is. I have always done what others expected of me, what society considered right and appropriate. Tetsuo nodded and replied, your true passion, Hiroshi, is like a seed buried deep in the earth. It needs to be nurtured, cared for, and brought to light. Start exploring your interests, experimenting with new activities, following your curiosity. And above all, don't be afraid to make mistakes, to try and try again. Only in this way will you be able to discover what truly makes your soul vibrate. Hiroshi, inspired by Tetsuo's words, began to dedicate time every day to self-discovery. He experimented with painting, writing, music, dancing, cooking, gardening. Every activity opened new doors for him, showed him aspects of himself that he didn't know, and slowly the itchy hands began to subside. One day, while he was working in the monastery garden, he felt a deep and unexpected joy. His hands, immersed in the earth, seemed to dance among the plants, creating harmony and beauty. In that moment, Hiroshi understood that his true passion was nature, taking care of the earth and its creatures. And from that day on, he enthusiastically dedicated himself to gardening, transforming the monastery garden into an oasis of peace and abundance. The itchy hands had completely disappeared, replaced by a feeling of contentment and serenity. He had found his true calling, his purpose in life. The disciples reflected on the story they had just heard, understanding the profound message it contained. The itch, like life itself, was a journey, an opportunity for growth and transformation. From that day, Tetsuo's disciples began to see the itch with different eyes. It was no longer just an annoyance, but an opportunity, an invitation to explore one's inner world and find peace, balance, and healing. And so, itching, from a simple physical symptom, transformed into a powerful tool for spiritual growth, a path towards self-realization. In the following days, the disciples began to share their experiences with the itch. Sakura told how an itchy throat had pushed her to express an opinion she had long kept repressed, freeing her from an internal burden. Taro spoke of an itchy leg that had led him to embark on a pilgrimage, discovering new perspectives and renewed motivation in his spiritual practice. Every itch, every signal from the body, became an opportunity to deepen self-knowledge, to face one's fears and insecurities, to free oneself from old patterns and embrace change. And the Komyoji Monastery became a place of healing and transformation, where itching, from an annoying symptom, was transformed into a precious ally on the spiritual path. And Tetsuo, the wise monk, continued to guide his disciples with love and compassion, teaching them to listen to body language and find inner peace. Have you ever heard of the custom of putting coarse salt in the corners of the house? And do you know what exactly this ancient Buddhist practice passed down by monks and healers of enormous wisdom and experience is for? Thanks to the exciting Zen story you are about to hear, you will discover some of the greatest benefits of salt and the powerful symbolic and spiritual implications behind it. So, stay until the end and don't miss even a minute of this precious video, because the information you will receive will help you in your search for inner peace. But before continuing, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. This way you will be informed when we publish new content for your spiritual growth. In a quiet Buddhist monastery hidden in the Japanese mountains, the wise old monk Hiroshi told his devoted disciples stories of profound wisdom. Dear disciples, there is an ancient practice that may appear simple, but which has deep roots in Buddhist wisdom and important symbolic and spiritual implications. The monk continued, putting coarse salt in the corners of your house may seem like a trivial gesture, but you have to watch what happens when you do it. It's like sowing the seed of change and watching how it flourishes. A young monk raised an eyebrow skeptically. I used to doubt this practice, he admitted, but now I wonder what would happen if I did it. You should know that salt has been valued throughout the centuries, considered more than just a spice. It was traded like gold, and many believed it possessed magical properties. But why put salt in the corners of the house? Asked another young nun. Because salt isn't just about making food taste better, Hiroshi replied. It has a much deeper history. And so the monk embarked on a tale that unfolded through ancient cultures and civilizations, from the ancient Egypt of the pharaohs to Gandhi's India, from the regions of Normandy to Bavaria, from Judaism to Buddhism. He explained how salt had been considered a protective amulet, a symbol of unshakable life, a means of purification and harmonization. It is more than meets the eye, Hiroshi said. It is a bridge between us and the universe, a key to our connection with nature and with ourselves. His disciples absorbed the words of the wise monk, reflecting on the depth behind such a simple gesture as putting salt in the corners of one's home. And so they began to understand that even the smallest actions can lead to significant changes when intrinsically connected to wisdom and awareness. Every practice has a beginning, he began, and the practice of using salt as a tool of purification and transformation has its roots in the past, intertwined with the stories of monks, sages, and ordinary people. The disciples approached, eager to discover the secrets Hiroshi was about to reveal. In Buddhist tradition, he continued in a calm voice, salt is considered a protective amulet, capable of repelling negative energies and purifying the space it occupies. A young nun raised her hand, eager to know more, but how did this practice begin? She asked curiously. Hiroshi smiled, accepting the question. In times past, corners were believed to be places where stagnant energies could accumulate, creating an imbalance in the home environment. And by placing salt in these points, an energetic barrier was created that repelled negative influences. The disciples' eyes shone with interest as Hiroshi continued his narration. In Japan, for example, salt is used in Shinto purification rituals to eliminate spiritual impurities and protect against evil spirits. This practice has evolved over the centuries, but its profound meaning has remained intact and, even today, many elderly people cultivate it and pass it down with confidence to their heirs. As Hiroshi spoke, the disciples found themselves transported to a world of ancient beliefs, superstitions, and traditional wisdom, and they began to understand that the simple gesture of putting salt in the corners of the house was an act of protection and harmonization with the universe. But the power of this element is not limited only to protection, continued Hiroshi, his eyes bright with wisdom. Salt also has the ability to transform stagnant energies into positivity and create an environment that fosters personal growth and emotional well-being. The disciples listened carefully, fascinated by the words of the wise monk. For them, the concept of using salt as a tool for purification and transformation was becoming increasingly clear and meaningful. "And now," said Hiroshi, as the fire crackled softly before them, "I will show you a simple yet powerful method for using salt to purify and harmonize your home environment." With an air of expectation, the disciples gathered even closer, ready to learn the master's secrets, because they knew that even though salt might seem like a common thing, its power was profound and transformative. And Hiroshi was ready to lead them on a journey of discovery through the ancient practices involving this humble yet powerful element. "First of all," continued the elderly monk, "we must understand the role of salt in our daily lives and its connection to the energies that surround us." "Salt has been precious throughout the ages," Hiroshi continued, "not only for its culinary value, but also for its physical and symbolic properties. It was considered a divine gift, a symbol of purification and protection against dark forces." As he spoke, he showcased a variety of salts collected from around the world, from raw sea salt to pink Himalayan salt crystals. Each type of salt carries with it a unique vibration, he explained. And learning to use salt correctly means being aware of this diversity and how it can affect our environment and our inner energy. The disciples contemplated the various types of salt with curiosity, aware of their potential significance beyond the simple flavor they added to meals. "But how can we fully harness the power of salt in our lives?" asked one of the monks, eager to apply what he was learning. "You asked an important question," Hiroshi replied with a smile. "The key is in intention and mindful practice. I will show you a method you can use to purify and protect your home environment." "The moon is a powerful energy catalyst," Hiroshi explained, "and when salt is exposed to its light, it becomes charged with purifying and harmonizing energy." The disciples watched in awe as the salt absorbed the silvery light of the moon, exuding an aura of tranquility and power. "This salt," said Hiroshi, "can be used to create a circle of protection around your home or to purify interior spaces." With an elegant gesture, he took a pinch of salt from the bowl and scattered it around the perimeter of the monastery courtyard, tracing an invisible circle of protection. "This circle," he explained, "will create an energetic barrier that will repel negative influences and promote peace and harmony within these boundaries." The disciples watched reverently as Hiroshi completed the circle of salt, feeling the presence of a protective energy surrounding the monastery. It was as if the place itself had been enveloped in a loving and powerful embrace. But the power of salt is not just limited to external protection, Hiroshi continued. It can also be used to purify and harmonize internal spaces, creating an environment that promotes spiritual growth and well-being. With this, he led the disciples inside the monastery, where he guided them through a series of practices involving salt to purify and harmonize the internal spaces. Each gesture was performed with awareness and intention as the disciples learned to connect with the power of salt and use it to transform the energies around them. Have you ever noticed how humidity can accumulate on the walls of your home, especially in certain areas? Hiroshi asked, scanning the expressions of all the people present. Everyone nodded in agreement, recalling times when they had observed this phenomenon in their homes. Placing salt in those spots can be extremely helpful, Hiroshi continued. Salt, in fact, has the ability to absorb humidity from the surrounding air, thus helping to prevent the formation of mold and safeguard our health. But that's not all, he said with a smile that suggested a new revelation. Salt can also be an ally in the fight against bad odors in domestic environments. Placing small bowls of salt in strategic locations around the home, such as the kitchen or bathroom, can help absorb and neutralize bad odors, Hiroshi explained. In this way, salt acts as a natural air purifier, keeping rooms fresh and pleasant. And these two important benefits of salt, my dears, although they are not directly linked to spirituality, actually have a strong connection with our spiritual path. Because, just as it absorbs humidity and bad smells, salt also absorbs energies, emotions, and evil presences. Therefore, it has a very powerful symbolic and spiritual role, and each of us should take this into account. Have you ever heard of the ancient practice of putting your name in salt water? Imagine immersing your deepest desires in a mystical ritual, letting salt water purify them and transform them into reality. What would it be like to be able to live a life full of serenity and inner peace, free from pain and suffering? And what would it be like to find emotional balance and mental well-being by pushing away the things and people that hurt you? In this Zen story, thanks to Buddhist wisdom, you will discover that if you put your name in salt water, you can make your wishes come true. If you stick around to the end of this story, you will discover the incredible power of salt water for your life. And you will know how a Buddhist monk named Ariko helped a young disciple rediscover the joy of living through Zen philosophy and this ancient secret ritual. So get ready for an exciting journey through the snow-capped mountains of Japan, where ancient wisdom intertwines with the transformative power of salt water. We assure you that by the end of this touching story, you will have learned how to awaken your inner potential and turn your dreams into reality. In an ancient village nestled among the snow-capped mountains of Japan, there lived an old and wise Buddhist monk named Ariko. Known for his profound wisdom and compassion, he attracted disciples from every corner of the country, eager to learn from his teachings. His fame was such that even the emperor himself occasionally went to the temple to receive his advice. One day, a group of disciples gathered around the master. Their faces were marked by tiredness and discouragement. They had fought long and hard, facing all kinds of obstacles and rejections, but life didn't seem to give them what they deserved. This is why they felt tired, trapped in an endless routine, destined for an existence devoid of the well-being and peace they had always desired. Ariko looked at them with her eyes full of kindness and said, "Would you like to learn how to break down those barriers that prevent you from reaching your true potential? What would it be like to be able to overcome the waste we have to deal with every day? And what would it be like to be able to obtain what we need to live peacefully?" The disciples, faced with these questions, nodded, recognizing in Ariko's words the reflection of their own difficulties. "You are not alone," continued the elderly monk. "Many of us have faced these challenges. But there's one thing I want you to know. Every obstacle, every rejection is just part of the path to something bigger and more extraordinary. Today, I'm here to share with you something special, something that can change the course of your life in a way you don't even imagine." Ariko paused, letting her words sink into their hearts, and the disciples smiled, convinced that they would soon find out. What I'm going to tell you about is a powerful force, a philosophy of life that will not only help you achieve your goals, but will also allow you to discover a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment. It's not just a technique, Ariko clarified. It's a way of thinking, of acting, of being. It is a tool that can unleash your maximum potential and take you beyond what you ever thought possible. Are you ready to take the first step towards a fuller, more exciting and rewarding life? The disciples, intrigued and full of hope, nodded enthusiastically. Then let us join together on this journey to personal transformation, Ariko exclaimed. A journey where every challenge becomes an opportunity and every dream becomes an achievable reality. It's time to unleash your inner greatness in all its splendor. And so, Ariko began to guide his disciples along the path of awareness and personal realization. By teaching them the principles of Zen philosophy and powerful techniques such as meditation, gratitude, and manifestation, he would give them the keys to a more fulfilling life. One day, while the disciples were meditating by the lake, Ariko told them a legend that had been handed down for generations. It is said that in the depths of this lake lives an ancient and wise dragon, guardian of a magical pearl that contains the knowledge and wisdom of the universe. Legend has it that only those with a pure heart and a determined soul can find the pearl and gain its powers. The disciples listened to the story in amazement, fascinated by the possibility of gaining such knowledge. The master smiled and said, "The legend of the dragon and the pearl is a symbol of the potential that lies within each of us. Inside us is an inexhaustible source of wisdom and strength, just waiting to be awakened, and we must learn to do it." To help his disciples connect with their inner potential, Ariko taught them a special ritual, the salt water ritual. Salt water represents purification and transformation, Ariko explained. With this ritual, you can free your mind from negative thoughts and channel your energy towards your deepest desires. Now, listen to me carefully because I will explain exactly what you will have to do to put this powerful ritual into practice. The disciples carefully followed Ariko's instructions. Taking a blank sheet of paper, they wrote down their deepest desire clearly and precisely. Then, they folded the sheet and immersed it in a carefully prepared bowl of salted water. As the sheet absorbed the salt water, Ariko guided them in a deep meditation, helping them visualize their wish already fulfilled. He invited them to feel the positive emotions they would feel once they achieved their goal, to perceive the joy and satisfaction that would derive from it. At the end of the meditation, the disciples took the paper out of the bowl and left it to dry. Ariko assured them that the ritual had activated the power of manifestation and that their wish would come true if only they continued to believe in it with faith and perseverance. In the following days and weeks, the disciples put their mentor's teachings into practice, cultivating gratitude and faith in the power of manifestation. However, some of them began to doubt when their wishes did not come true immediately. Ariko reassured them, explaining that the path to personal fulfillment is not always linear. There will be obstacles and trials to face, but it is important to maintain faith and never abandon your dreams. Every trial is an opportunity to grow and strengthen, he said. Learn from your mistakes. Don't be afraid to fail. Failure is not the end, but just a step towards success, and it is only by failing that you can learn how to achieve your desires. The disciples, inspired by the monk's words, continued to persevere, facing challenges with courage and determination. And over time, they began to see the fruits of their efforts. Their wishes, once just distant dreams, began to come true, one after the other. As the disciples achieved their goals, they realized how powerful the potential resided within them. They had learned to turn their thoughts into reality, to overcome limitations and create the life they wanted. Gratitude became a constant feeling in their hearts. They were grateful to Ariko for his teachings, grateful for the experiences they had lived, grateful for life itself. One day, after many years of teachings, Ariko felt that the time had come to leave this world. He gathered his disciples around him and said, "My journey is coming to an end, but my teaching will live on through you. Take with you the wisdom you have learned, share it with the world, and help others find their inner light." With a smile full of peace, Ariko closed her eyes forever. His disciples, moved and saddened, promised to honor his memory by continuing to spread his message of hope, compassion, and personal fulfillment. But what does the story of the monk Ariko and salt water teach us? That all of us, to live a full and satisfying life, must learn to awaken the potential that resides in each of us. This story is a message of hope that reminds us that we can create the life we desire, if only we have the courage to believe and persevere. Like Ariko's disciples, we can learn to transform our thoughts into reality, to overcome limitations, and realize our greatest dreams. All through gratitude, faith in the power of manifestation, commitment, and perseverance. Do you often wake up between 3 and 5 in the morning? And have you ever felt a feeling of uneasiness or curiosity when this happens? In this video, thanks to a Zen story, we will see what it means to wake up recurrently at these times. Together, we will explore the mysteries behind these moments and discover how they can offer an opportunity for personal and spiritual growth. So stay until the end, because you will discover that these nocturnal awakenings can reveal much more than you think. But before continuing, if you are not yet one of us, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to stay updated on new publications. In an ancient Buddhist monastery located among the mountains of Tibet lived the monk Kiro, famous for his vast wisdom. His lessons on awareness and compassion were renowned far and wide, and disciples came to him from afar to learn from his teachings. One evening, while twilight colored the sky with shades of red and gold, Kiro gathered his disciples in the main hall to answer a question they had asked him several times. Why do some people wake up most nights between 3 and 5 while others don't? Are these awakenings phenomena related to chance, or do they have a meaning? Dear disciples, Kiro began in a calm voice, today we will explore nocturnal awakenings and their connection to Eastern medicine and Buddhist wisdom. In Eastern medicine, Kiro continued, night awakenings are believed to be linked to body's energy meridians and their influences on us. Kiro proceeded to explain how each night waking time was associated with a particular organ or system of the body, and how Eastern medicine viewed these awakenings as signs of energetic or emotional imbalance that required attention and care. For example, Kiro said, waking up between 3 and 5 in the morning is associated with the lungs and emotions of sadness. This could indicate a need to address and heal deep emotional wounds, thus allowing our energy vital to flow freely. The disciples nodded, reflecting on their master's words and trying to apply them to their own experience. Master, one of them asked, how can we interpret night awakenings in the light of Buddhist wisdom? Kiro smiled, recognizing his student's deep curiosity. In Buddhism, he replied, every moment of the day is an opportunity to practice mindfulness and compassion. Nighttime awakenings offer us a unique window to explore our mental and emotional states without the distractions we have during the day. Kiro shared stories of ancient Buddhist masters who, through meditation and contemplation, had transformed their nocturnal awakenings into opportunities to deepen their understanding of the human mind and soul. The Buddha taught that waking up at night can be seen as an invitation to develop awareness and kindness towards ourselves and others, Kiro said. It is a time to embrace our experiences without judgment, thus allowing inner wisdom to emerge and move us forward along our path of spiritual rebirth. The disciples, listening with gratitude, felt inspired by the profound union between Eastern medicine and Buddhist wisdom that their master had outlined. Remember, Kiro added, that every waking night is an opportunity to grow, learn, and connect with the deepest part of ourselves. Be grateful for these moments of awareness, for they are precious gifts on the path to spiritual fulfillment. But now let's see in more detail which areas of life are affected by nocturnal awakenings, so that you can better analyze yourself and others. Stress and anxiety accumulated during the day can manifest themselves in waking up at night between 3 and 5 in the morning. This is because during these hours, the human body is naturally predisposed to release peaks of cortisol, the stress hormone. If these levels are already high due to daily worries, you are likely to experience nocturnal awakenings, and in these cases, practices like meditation, deep breathing, and muscle relaxation can help reduce stress and promote deeper sleep. My suggestion, therefore, is to get used to meditating for at least 10 minutes before going to bed. This way you will prepare yourself to sleep more peacefully. Awakenings at these particular hours of the night are associated with the lungs in Chinese medicine and with sadness according to Eastern psychology. This may indicate the presence of repressed or unprocessed emotions, such as grief, loss, or loneliness. Facing and accepting these emotions is fundamental to inner healing. Practicing mindfulness and exploring emotions through writing or therapy can help you understand and integrate these emotional experiences. If you have suffered negative experiences of this type, I recommend you work on yourself in order to process them and find inner peace and emotional balance. Looking into the eyes of his disciples, Hiro continued his lesson. In the Eastern spiritual tradition, the early hours of the morning are considered a privileged time for connection with the divine and for spiritual practice. During this period of tranquility and silence, it is easier to get lost in meditation, prayer, or deep contemplation. Consider that many people wake up at these hours precisely because their deepest self needs to connect with the divine. And many practitioners, however, find that waking up specifically between 3 and 5 in the morning is an opportunity to experience greater spiritual presence and awareness, opening the door to new insights and spiritual realizations. These nocturnal awakenings, Hiro continued, can also be interpreted as signs of a process of inner transformation and personal growth. During these hours, the subconscious may be more active, bringing hidden emotions, thoughts, and desires to the surface. This can be a time to deeply explore your psyche and to identify what changes or transformations are necessary to live a more authentic and meaningful life. Some nocturnal awakenings, however, can be caused by physical disorders such as acid reflux, insomnia or sleep apnea, liver problems. These disorders can interrupt sleep and cause frequent awakenings during these hours. Eastern medicine suggests various remedies for these conditions. However, if you think you may have such problems, consult a doctor to identify and treat the underlying cause of these physical ailments. Eradicating these problems at the root allows you to improve the quality of sleep and promote emotional and general well-being. As the disciples continued to listen to the monk's words with great attention, Hiro introduced another important aspect. The period from 3 to 5 in the morning, he said, is considered a time when the unconscious can communicate important messages through dreams and awakenings. This theory is suggested by both the ancient Zen wisdom and the analytical psychology of Carl Gustav Jung. These messages can be symbolic or intuitive and can provide valuable insights into our inner lives, relationships, or challenges we are facing. Keeping a dream diary or practicing meditation before sleep can help capture and interpret these unconscious messages. If you write them down immediately, the next day you will have the opportunity to remember them and be able to use them in your growth process. Another reason why some of us wake up at those times, according to Eastern tradition, is linked to the natural rhythms of the universe. The early hours of the morning, in fact, are considered a time when vital energy is concentrated and flows more freely. Waking during this time may indicate an alignment with these natural cycles or a need to adapt to them to promote health and well-being. Practices such as yoga, Tai Chi, or meditation can help harmonize the body, mind, and spirit with the rhythms of nature. So, my dears, consider practicing them. A disciple asked, "Master Hero, should we ultimately be worried if we often wake up at these times?" "My dears," said the monk, "I would look at these awakenings as a precious opportunity to explore the depths of our mind, our spirit, and even our body. If an awakening suggests a physical problem to us, we will know we need to take care of it. If it suggests a spiritual meaning to us, we will know we have to work on it." Remember, through Eastern wisdom and heartfelt compassion, to learn to welcome these moments as precious gifts along the journey of life. Every nocturnal awakening is an invitation to greater awareness and understanding of ourselves and the world around us. So, instead of resisting or ignoring these awakenings, we can welcome them with kindness and openness, allowing them to illuminate our path to spiritual fulfillment. The best thing you can do is create a space of quiet and reflection before going to bed, allowing your mind and body to completely relax. Practices like meditation, deep breathing, or reading inspirational texts can prepare you for a more restful, deep sleep. And when you wake up between 3 and 5 in the morning, take this phenomenon as an opportunity to explore your inner self and connect with your deepest essence. How many times have you heard that in life we must learn to forgive? And how many times have you tried to do it without success? And again, have you ever heard of why you should not forgive according to Buddha? We often hear that the practice of forgiveness serves to purify us, to live at peace with ourselves, and to embark on a true spiritual path. Thanks to the Zen story that you will hear shortly, you will learn the true vision of forgiveness in Buddhist culture. So stay until the end, because what you will hear will disrupt the idea of forgiveness that you have always had, and this will help you a lot in human relationships and in your personal growth. In an ancient monastery located among the mountains of India lived an old and wise monk named Kumen, known for his deep knowledge of the Buddhist path. His clothes were sober, but his eyes reflected the clarity of someone who had traveled a long spiritual journey. One day, a man approached the monk with an invisible burden in his heart. "Master Kumen," he said with a trembling voice, "how can I learn to truly forgive according to the Buddhist path?" Kumen, with his usual kindness, invited the man to sit down and began to tell him a story that would illuminate the path to understanding forgiveness. Once upon a time, Kumen began, there were two disciples of Buddha. They were the sons of a respectable East Indian merchant, a man dedicated to his work and determined to ensure the prosperity of his family. This merchant, one day, noticed that his children spent more hours a day at the feet of Buddha instead of dedicating themselves to the family business. His concern grew like a shadow on his face as he saw his heirs abandon the path of commerce to follow in the footsteps of a man who spent his time sitting with his eyes closed. This father, Kumen continued, thought that his sons were neglecting the work and prosperity of their family, and his concern turned to anger as he contemplated the way the Buddha affected the lives of his descendants. One day, determined to put an end to this situation, the merchant decided to confront the Buddha directly. He went to the place where the Buddha was teaching, and when he saw him sitting with his eyes half closed and a serene smile, his anger broke out. This man, Kumen said, felt betrayed. He felt that Buddha was stealing his children's future. The merchant, full of anger and despair, had planned how he would humiliate the Buddha in front of all his disciples. He wanted to spit on him and hold him down for the damage he was doing to his family. But when he came in front of the Buddha and saw his peaceful face, something changed within him. The atmosphere around the Buddha was so permeated with calm and serenity that the man momentarily forgot his vengeful intentions. However, his pride could not accept this climate of extreme peace. Then, strengthened by his determination, he spat in the Buddha's face. The Buddha's disciples rose to defend him, but the Buddha remained unperturbed, with a calm gaze and a persistent smile. Cumin described the atmosphere that followed as if a wave of calm had enveloped the place. The Buddha, he said, did not react with anger. He sat with his eyes half closed, accepting the apparently offensive act with his heart open. The merchant, seeing the Buddha's reaction, realized the helplessness of his actions, and the anger he had harbored turned into remorse. All the accusations and insults he had prepared came to mind, but in front of that peaceful presence, everything seemed insignificant. The Buddha did not condemn the man. He did not humiliate him. Instead, he offered him compassion and peace. Cumin continued. At this point, the monk interrupted the narration to highlight a crucial lesson. Dear friend, forgiveness is like that piece of the Buddha. It is not something we do concretely. It is not simply saying, I forgive you. It is something that happens when we are willing to let go of the past and see the being before us in a new light. The monk resumed the story and described how the man, touched by the Buddha's compassion, returned home. The images of the peaceful Buddha and his act of spitting in his face collided in his mind, he continued. That night, the man couldn't sleep. His mind was dominated by the image of the smiling Buddha and at the same time by the act of spitting that he had committed against her. The man, Cumin said, was at a crossroads between remorse for his past and the possibility of a different future. Cumin emphasized the importance of this pivotal moment in the story he was telling. That man, he said, was going through a process of deep introspection. He was trying to forgive himself, feeling guilty and ashamed for how he had behaved. The man, after days of internal torment, realized that his imagination was constantly constructing painful scenarios based on that past. Imagination, Cumin said, can be a powerful ally or a fierce enemy. In the wrong hands, it can create an endless cycle of anger and resentment. The man, over time, began to understand that the Buddha had not reacted to his actions with judgment, but with a very clear objective. So little by little he abandoned thoughts of revenge and began to sincerely ask for forgiveness. One day he returned to the feet of the Buddha. Cumin said, no longer in anger, but with genuine repentance. Forgive me, O great master, he pleaded. My ignorance has left me blind. I was just focused on my life and the prosperity of my family. The Buddha, with his eyes half opened and a smile of peace, listened to the man's words, but when he asked for forgiveness, he shook his head. I can't forgive you, he said kindly, because there is nothing to forgive. You have done nothing wrong to me. The man, surprised, asked the Buddha why he did not want to forgive him. Cumin explained that the Buddha had nothing to forgive, as he had accepted the man's act without judging him. It was as if the Buddha saw beyond the past and present, feeling the pure essence of that individual. This refusal to forgive, according to Cumin, taught man a valuable lesson. Forgiveness is not only an act of mercy towards others, but also an internal process of liberation. The Buddha taught, Cumin continued, that to forgive is to perform an act of compassion, both toward others and toward ourselves. The man, impressed by the Buddha's wisdom, began to reflect deeply on the meaning of forgiveness, and the idea that forgiveness was not something that could be given or received, but rather an internal experience of liberation, impacted him. The story continued with the merchant who, inspired by Buddha, decided to embark on a path of self-forgiveness. As time went by, he learned to let go of the guilt and shame that had tormented him. The practice of meditation became his refuge, where he learned to observe each moment without letting himself be dominated by the memory of the past or by worries about the future. "Dear friend," Cumin said, turning to the man who was listening intently, "forgiveness is not just a gesture we make toward others, but an act of kindness that extends toward ourselves as well. When we learn to see each moment with new eyes, overcoming painful memories and letting go of our destructive imagination, we can find inner peace." The story continued with the merchant who, inspired by spiritual practice, eventually healed the wounds of the past and approached the Buddha to thank him. And the Buddha, with his compassionate smile, received him with joy. Cumin concluded the story by emphasizing that forgiveness, both toward others and toward oneself, is a complex and profound process. On our spiritual journey, he said, forgiveness guides us to a higher level of consciousness and compassion. It is a gift we can offer ourselves and others, freeing ourselves from the chains of the past and opening the doors to a bright future. But what is the moral of this story? And what does it teach us? The moral that emerges is clear. Forgiveness, in the Buddhist view, is not an act as an end in itself. It is not something we can give or receive, but is a gift of compassion that can be extended to oneself and others. In this approach, forgiveness becomes a means of making those who have made a mistake understand the extent of their actions. The compassion and kindness with which we offer forgiveness practically and indirectly become tools to open the eyes of those who have made the mistake, leading them to a deeper awareness. Because whoever commits an evil act towards someone actually commits it against himself, since karma will cause the effects to fall on him like a boomerang. So, in the end, he will have to forgive himself. Remember, forgiveness is not just a personal liberation, but a process that can lead to the transformation of others. Opening yourself to the kind of forgiveness we talk about is a way to promote awareness and growth, creating a bridge to a future of understanding and serenity.